980 Deep Valley's voice, the people's choice, KLNK.
What if my dog could talk? We have Claud Nestor on the Zoom deal, I should say Dr. Claud. He's our downtown Deep Valley veterinarian.
Oh, greetings, Carl. Hope I'm coming through clearly. We don't have the best Wi-Fi in the world.
You're good, Dr. Claud.
How are you feeling? How's that handsome beagle of yours?
Oh, Jerry is better than he lets on. Dr. Claud, we've got to get a word in from one of our sponsors here on KLNK Radio, and then we'll talk about talking pets. This portion of Deep Valley Voices brought to you by Transdimensional Insurance Company of Harlan, Texas. Their local company that now offers alien abduction insurance. They're the leader, in that industry. If you're troubling about what would happen to your family if you were suddenly taken away by illegal aliens, this policy from Transdimensional Insurance Company will give you peace of mind. My wife took out a policy on her dog, Jerry. So if you've been made afraid about such things, Transdimensional's seen you coming. There's no physical or age limitations or anything like that. Policy start at just $9.99 a month. And remember, if you're really scared, you need alien abduction insurance. And ask their friendly agent about their blanket policy. It covers you against harm from any conspiracy there is. Okay, let's get back to our guest expert, Dr. Claud Nestor, our downtown Deep Valley vet, and a good friend of animals everywhere. Am I right, Dr. Claud?
Hi again, Carl.
So, Doctor, we had you on the program many times to talk about fleas and ticks and excessive licking and the like, but I don't know that we've covered this one. What if your dog could talk?
Well, I have to tell you before we begin that I've heard dogs talk, but I know this isn't about me.
So our listeners wondered, and I can understand what they mean, if their dog could talk, wouldn't it change things between them?
Well, let me just touch on two areas. First, there could be a shift in roles. Talking might blur the lines, you might say, between owner and pet. If your dog had opinions and could argue, the dynamic might feel more like a partnership than a traditional pet-owner relationship.
Well, now let's talk about this some. Let's say that I'm having my coffee in the morning, reading the Deep Valley Inquisitor, and my dog asks me to read in the sports page. Or, of course, I could just lay it on the floor, I suppose. But maybe he wants to wager a dog biscuit or two on Saturday's game.
Or he starts complaining about the fleas in his bed.
Or the poo that I haven't picked up in the backyard. I can just hear my wife chiming in. All of a sudden, it's 2 against 1.
And remember, your responsibility to your pet stays. Regardless of speech, your dog would still rely on you for food and shelter and care, so you'd remain its guardian.
Or he's talking to his lawyer, I bet. We've been chatting with Dr. Claud about talking dogs. And so wait a minute now. When we started out, you kind of dropped a small bomb that I forgot to pick up. You told us that you have heard dogs talk.
Yes, but it was a French poodle, so...
So you needed subtitles. You're a funny guy, Dr. Claude. I can't always tell when you're kidding. Seriously.
It was a mixed breed schnauzer, actually.
So what did he talk about? I mean, did you ask questions?
Well, I have to tell you, it had some really lame ideas. A lot of misconceptions, really, about the world. See, you understand, even if some dogs might be able to articulate words, their brains are not as evolved as humans. All it talked about was birds. I'd call it an obsession, but I'm not a trained psychopathology expert. He thought it was somehow unfair that birds could fly.
Here I go. I was thinking that dogs lived more in the moment. Well, Dr. Claude, I'd like to continue this conversation, but I have to admit that I'm afraid if we do, they'll send someone to take us away. Dr. Claud Nestor, eminent Deep Valley veterinarian, and Dr. Claude, you wanted to plug your book, didn't you? It's called
Party Games You Can Play with Your Parrot.
I'm afraid that time has slipped away from us once again. Time to say so long for this edition of Deep Valley Voices. And remember, if you have an idea for a topic you'd like to hear more about, you know how to send it along, don't you? Send it to deepvalleyvoices@gmail.com. That's all one word. That is the Deep Valley Voices part of it. Now, don't send it to the station email address. We have our own for the show. deepvalleyvoices@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. And remember, the Deep Valley Gas and Electric Company reminds you to turn off your radio when you're done.
980 Deep Valley's voice, the people's choice, KLMK.
A production of KLNK 980 Radio.